All right, welcome back, everybody. And we're going to be going further in our learning about CSS statements. So we're going to start off this assignment with a nice little bacon fan site that I've given you guys. So if you go ahead and click run in your assignment, you can see this bacon page show up. And here it is just a fan site dedicated to bacon. So if you are a vegan, vegetarian, or you just hate meat or anything like that, I apologize, but I love bacon. So that's what we're going to be going over. So to start, it's going to be starting off with a challenge for you guys. So this is just a HTML page, but we want to add some styling to it. So first thing for you is I want you guys to pause the video. I'll put the instructions up here in a second, but we want to add a CSS file and then make sure we link this HTML page to it. So let me put up the instructions and go ahead and pause your video and do so now. All right, so going off of that, so in order to do that, if I want to add a CSS file, I'm going to go up here to my files and click add file. And then the standard name we can give it is style.css. That .css at the end is really important. That lets it know that it's a CSS page that we're. And now that I have that, I need to let this HTML page know that it's going to be getting all of its style information from this page. So I have to add a link. A link to the style sheet, and we're going to have the href attribute. So is where the destination, like where it's going to look, that's going to be the name of whatever you called your page. So now it knows that it's getting a style sheet from the style.css page. Okay. And we haven't actually given it any styles yet, so nothing is going to be different when we click run. But what we can do is add, just to kind of make sure that we linked everything correctly, let's go ahead and change the H1 color and font size. So when I am doing that, remember I need to, the selector for my CSS statement is the who. So what am I, or who am I changing? I'm going to change the H1 element. So when you're choosing that or selecting it, kind of just ignore the angle brackets right there. And so I'm going to say H1 is the who I'm changing. And then the what I'm changing is color red. And I want the font size to be, say, 100 pixels. And remember, these little letters that you put at the end, those are the basically the units of your number. So we can use pixels, you can do PT. They'll give you kind of different sizes because they're different units, but let's just kind of use pixels for now. And we can run this to make sure that everything is working like it should. And there we go. All right, so that's just a good way to double check that we've linked everything correctly. And yeah, so the next part is a little challenge for you guys again. What I want you guys to do is add a CSS tool that is going to change the background color of the bacon image to being red. All right, so I will put those instructions up. So go ahead and try that one out. All right, so go ahead to looking at our code. So here we have this image element right here. And remember the who that we're going to be modifying is the image. So what we can do is we can go to our CSS page, and who I'm going to change is the image right there. So I can choose the image element, and I want the background color to be red. And that's really all I need, so I can double check. Let's go ahead and run our code. And now I have this background color of my image being red, and so in your assignment right here, let's go ahead and add another image. Let's add some broccoli so we can show our disdain for broccoli. So what we want to do is we want to add another image. So we can go to Emojipedia, find some of this, and when we click this, we can search broccoli. and we can select the broccoli right there. And what this does is this now gives you a list of all the different broccoli emojis used by all the different companies. We've got Apple, Google, Microsoft, doesn't look so hot right there. And you can just kind of scroll through and see all these different ones, but let's use the Apple one. So when you find whatever emoji that you want, right click, and we're gonna copy that image link. And then we're gonna go back to our code, and I wanna add another image. So I'm a image source for that, and I'm going to paste in that link that we just copied to. And the last thing you need to add is some alternate text. It's going to be so when we click this, there we go. We have our bacon, and we have this new emoji of a chunk of broccoli right there. But now both of these have a red background, and that's because on the styles page, we basically said that any image element that's going to be added to our HTML page, right? Any one of these images is going to have a background of red. But normally when you're making a web page, that's not really going to be that helpful because you want to be able to make style different pictures or different pieces a little bit differently. So to do that, we're going to use what is called a class. So I'm going to go back to the style page right now. And actually, let's talk about the classes, right? So if I want to add a class to this, that is going to be an attribute. So right next to our element, image element, we're going to add class equals. And then we're going to call it, let's call it bacon for the bacon picture. All right, so we got class equals bacon, and we're going to do the same thing for the broccoli image. So class equals broccoli. I have two different classes going on, and what I can do now is I can use these to modify each one of these images by themselves. Okay, so when I go back to my style page, I don't really need this anymore. So I'm just going to show you a little trick. If there's ever a piece of code that you want to get rid of, but you might use it later, you don't know, we can comment it out. And the styles, the CSS comments are structured a little differently than the HTML comments. If we want to comment something in the CSS page, it starts with a / and then a asterisk. And now anything that comes after that is a comment until that comment ends by just doing that in reverse, asterisk / right? So now we have this tag, right? This is a CSS element for our tag. So let's just organize our page a little better. Okay, let's go call these all the tag styles. We can end that comment by asterisk / right there. Okay, and then we can go down a little bit, and let's do the same thing for, this is going to be all our class style. This is just adding a little organization to your CSS page. And if we want to call upon a class, it is extremely similar to how we did our CSS statements before. The only difference is it's going to start with a period or a full stop or a dot or whatever you want to call it. So we had the bacon class, so we're going to say dot bacon. And now the structure of your CSS is exactly like it was before. So we want the background color be, let's say, green this time to show that bacon is A-OK. And then we're going to add another class for our broccoli. And let's just double check that this is working. So let's run it. And now I have the background of my bacon is green, and the red went away because I took that out, right? So it's not reading that anymore. It thinks it's a comment. And so let's add the class for our broccoli. So dot broccoli. And we want the background color to be red, meaning bad. All right, so when it reads dot bacon, all it's doing, this is the who, right? So when we go over here, it's saying that, okay, the class called bacon, that's where we're giving it this class name, and then we can style each class of bacon with whatever this rule. And why this is useful, why we use classes, is a lot of times if you're making a web page, you don't want to style whole elements all exactly the same throughout the entire web page. So this allows us, it gives us a little flexibility to go in and change things individually and get exactly what we want for the styles, right? But if you're looking at the style, you say, okay, background color, we got color, font size, all these things. You might not really know the what, right? This is the who is being changed. This is the what is being changed. So if we want to look that up, guessed it, we can go to the MDN, all the documentation for CSS. This is the MDN homepage. And if we go up to Technologies and click CSS, we can go down here for a CSS reference. And what this does is if we scroll down a little bit, it gives us a list of all the different types of properties that we can actually change and modify using CSS. So all of these things are different words that we can actually put in here to change there, right? So, and what's nice is if you click one, like if I want to paint, right, you can click there and it's going to explain and give some examples and basically just give you some good information about how to actually change that stuff on. So play around with some of these properties a little bit if you want, kind of mess with what you can actually do using either classes or just regular CSS elements with the tags. And go ahead and I will see you guys a little bit later.